Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. About this scripture, two things come to mind right away. One is the kings who are true kings are kings in the sense of being morally precise, not people like the king of Saudi Arabia, the king of Jordan, the king of some tribe somewhere, something like that. It's somebody who's established the throne in righteousness, like it says in Proverbs 16:12. And when it comes to being skilled in your work, right, as a warrior, it's not talking about modern warfare. If modern warfare was about who can, throw grenades the best or who can drone strike the best, okay, and it was limited to that, would that represent God's arts? No. Because what modern warfare is limited to, because of it being profane and so on and so forth, that it's not talking about that. So one who's skilled in divine, monotheistic, Royal African Falcon martial arts will serve before God. And if you're from let's say you were a samurai and you dedicated yourself to the Falcon, Royal African Falcon martial art king, then you've kind of merged with that. So you don't have to fight the way I do, but you have to obey God through me. And in that way, you're in my spirit. Okay? So the strike, in that situation, the striking motion can be different, but the spirit is the same. Okay? Mind, body, soul, spirit, martial arts. Okay. So when we look at this thing, right, it's easier to understand blacks and browns, people and people who are indigenous in terms, and really white people too, but we'll get to that. We'll keep it indigenous here because it's easier to understand because of the associations. In terms of martial arts, okay? So there's one person said to me today, or excuse me, the other day, he said that the hug-a-thug, okay, policies don't work. Again, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican or a Libertarian. I know that Democratic, Republican, and Libertarian policies don't work. They come from the rich oppressor. Everyone basically knows that. And I don't play the game. I don't play stupid. I'm not going to, pretend to be a freaking Democrat and then argue with the other controlled opposition groups, about which controlled opposition argument is magically better or something. They're all wrong. Wrong is wrong. Okay. So what he was doing, whether he saw it that way or not, was he was suppressing the moral order. He's trying to force people to play the game. He's oversimplifying my arguments, misrepresenting it as, with a straw man as a democratic argument when it's a morally precise argument. It's not Democratic or Republican. Well, that's what he was doing. And this has implications on the martial art order. Now, before I even talk about that, let me really quickly put this to rest. Life isn't about which brute force, selfish people rule over who. Life does not consist in abundance of possessions. It doesn't consist in sexually controlling people who are dumb enough to let you control them. It doesn't consist of bullying other races and saying, ha, we're in charge, okay? So if black people or brown people or anyone else was to do the white man, so to speak, like he did them, they would be wrong too. And it would be disgraceful too. It's not about that. But you have these brute force kind of Zeus-minded fools who think that if you suppress the truth of the divine order, that magically they're better off. They're not. Their lives are worse. The potential mates they have are worse. How much money they get, how much bang they get for their buck, it's all worse. And, even if you're rich with lots of money, what can you buy and why? What kind of crafts are there and why? They're the crafts of the crafty snake and not divinely worthwhile arts of God and processes and workmanship of God. It's the fruits of wickedness and trickle-down rape and so on and so forth and pedophilia. It's a disgrace. So if you look at it in terms of a Roman soldier, a white Roman soldier, because association helps you understand, who's trying to elevate Roman fighting arts above the Royal African Falcon martial art order, they could easily beat like 5 of them at the same time in hand-to-hand combat, okay? Then you understand why they're doing it a little bit more. But it's still stupid and pointless. They're like some kind of sadistic fools who don't understand that what they're doing is not worthwhile. Okay? And they think that you're stupid enough to think that magically brute force is better than surgical striking. If someone swings like a brute, with a lot of force and he swings and he's missing by a long shot. And then I come through and I slice his throat masterfully, including his carotid artery, and he bleeds out all over the place, he falls down, he's done. That surgical strike is better than brute force. There's no fooling people about that. They know if you're a big, dumb brute and someone's smart and masterfully moving, that they're going to win. And same thing with the military and police. They know that, from the Jet Li movies, the Bruce Lee movies, Jackie Chan, that somebody who's smarter and faster and more surgical is going to outmaneuver these bigger shapes. There's no covering that up. And they're like, well, they say white power, right? Pow, ear, pow. They think that magically, if they confuse you about that you're going to be like, wow, the white man and the Jew and the LGBT community. But no one's that fucking dumb. And it also doesn't work for the Asian, especially in the West, because no one thinks that their body is naturally superior. No one thinks that their mind and body are naturally superior to the pinnacle of African martial arts and thinking. We see Martin Luther King Day, not some kind of Asian day. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but these are just the facts. This is what makes it clear that it's not worthwhile for them to do what they're doing. Okay, they're not going to think you're deeper than Martin Luther King or the king of Martin Luther King, which is me. Okay, the king of kings. They're not going to think that your natural genes are more martial art excellent than the black man's at his pinnacle. They do believe the black man's sabotage. They do believe the Flint water crisis and the incidences in Mississippi and Chicago and New York and other places with the asbestos and the sabotage and the fumes and the poisons. They do believe that factors in. They do believe that if a leopard is drugged and a golden retriever is drugged, it doesn't disprove that the leopard is a superior warrior to the golden retriever. Okay, they know this already. And you're just pursuing greed and stupidity. Instead of looking at things as we're all one human race, and certain people have reaped what they sow in a superior manner because it's righteousness that's superior, not technology, not cunning, not the principles of evil, not enforcing your cultural imperialistic system, not your church falsehoods, mosque falsehoods, and synagogue falsehoods. Righteousness makes somebody superior. Okay? And even your legal system, they try to do a semblance of that, where the idea is to lock up wicked people to keep them from harming other people. But there's more than just stealing from them or killing them that harms people. You poison their spirit, you poison the airways, you poison their minds and their hearts and their reproductive cycles. You poison their wells with your toxic philosophies. And this is a huge part of the Bible. Arguably, it's more of a part of the Bible than striking somebody. But the strike by the righteous person is a potent representation of that, to the point where it's called the spirit, a spiritual strike, a spear and spirit. Striking down Goliath, Jonathan striking down his enemies, Samson striking down Philistines with a jawbone, and so on and so forth. The moral and the moral system. And so it is that you see someone skilled in mind, body, soul, spirit, morally precise martial arts. He's elevated. He's exalted. Psalm 45, exalted over his companions, exalted over other people. God's exalted by his acts of righteousness and justice. You see someone who's skilled in divine martial arts. He's supposed to rule over you. He serves before God, and the top martial arts ever possible serves before God as the King of Kings. And you're not supposed to pretend otherwise. You're not supposed to try to tell me what to do. You're not supposed to try to rule over me. Doing that is extremely disgraceful. In Psalm 45, if it said that some dickhead was like, I don't care if God elevated him, I want to rule over him, okay, he's fucking disgraced. And so is his offspring. Why would anyone be that dumb?